Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video. A familiar sight to a lot of people, as obviously our last upload had no cap and no background and it nearly finished off half our community here. But we're back to normal and we're back this week to reflect on the week that was with a delicious little Rangers roundup. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting the type of response or the positivity from last week in terms of bringing it back. So thank you so much for everyone who was really excited about the return of the Rangers roundup. Hopefully this week just delivers the exact same as last week, as we have a couple of very interesting talking points. One especially regarding a player a lot of people's asked me some questions of, so it could be very, very interesting. If you didn't mind hitting a like button, that'd be greatly appreciated as we go ahead and dive through the week that was. And starting off with the very first talking point, we of course have the news that dropped earlier in the week in terms of the plastic parks. And by goodness gracious, I'm sitting here looking like Annie when Daddy Warbucks comes strolling into town with a limo, because I'm in to a winner right here, ladies and gentlemen, as what I have been praying and asking for far too long is finally here. There's been an official ban on plastic. And again, I can't help but show my bias here, ladies and gentlemen, and say I am very happy at this news, especially if you've watched this channel for a couple of years, not only in terms of the previews and everything like that, but a couple of years ago when Kilmarnock got relegated and Livingston stayed in the league, there was an option to do the exact same thing that we've done this week all those years ago, as if there's two sides with the plastic park in the top flight, that doesn't mean the statistical side of thing can get broken down enough and it'll just be outvoted and you'll never get anywhere. But when one of them was relegated, there was an option to bring this vote all those years ago, and we had an option and a chance to do it, but no one brought it forward, no one suggested it, and it felt like a massive missed opportunity to improve the top flight of Scottish football. But it's funny, where we whiffed at it with Kilmarnock gone down and Livingston staying, all those years later the exact opposite's happened. The vote's been done and it's been passed with flying colours. Now, of course, Kilmarnock had already started the wheels in motion them own selves without this pressure, without this vote to go plastic free, if you will, by 2025 and have their grass pitch up to the standard that they should, especially a club that's as well run as they actually are. So they had already started the motions, but now this is obviously the official for anybody else coming up, being promoted. If it's Livingston, if it's like Hamilton, if it's Falkirk that goes ahead and does the impossible, there is stuff that needs to be done now, as the official ban will take place from the 2026-2027 season. So that's important to remember. It's not officially in place for the upcoming season that we're going to be experiencing and hopefully enjoying in that aspect, but the year later is the official time it's done and the plastic is banned and not allowed at the top flight. But where I do clearly have an agenda with this and a bit of bias, because I just hate so many of the players I've seen get injured, pull up. I've seen having to sit and watch turgent games of football where the ball doesn't bounce or it doesn't roll here, it doesn't roll here. The product's absolutely dreadful, and I have to sit and watch horrible games after horrible games year upon year. Clearly I have my own personal agenda and personal bias regarding this, but again, I always try to cover all angles of a story and bring all things into light so people can actually discuss it fairly, because where I do have my own biases, and again I'm not hiding for that, I know there will be a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of counter arguments being like a major reason why a lot of these clubs have an artificial pitch is so they can rent it out to the community, and that's the way that they garner their money and gather their this, and that's how they keep their stuff going. And I do sympathise with that, and obviously there is clubs there that do that. In fact, I played a lot of charity matches on parts that are plastic or 4G, whatever you want to actually call them, that allows us to go and play in them because it's plastic and because they can make some money from it. So I do sympathise with that point of view, but again, at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the way now for far too long. The game's not improving. It's gone backwards, troops, you know what I mean? There's a lot of clubs, and it's not just Premiership clubs, there's Championship. Stirling Albion has one of the best pitches about, and look at the league they're actually in. So there is a lot of arguments, there is a lot of discussions, but I think if you take a step back and look at it, all the stuff saying, oh, they can't afford to do this, they can, ladies and gentlemen, and now there's actually something in place that if you want to reach the motherland in terms of Scottish football, you want to do it. But again, in saying that, a lot of the clubs that people are greeting about and saying this and that won't be affected by the actual ban, and imagine won't change too much regarding that issue. But again, for me, as a footballing country, we are falling miles and miles behind, and that will lead us into the second story. But we want to improve the league, we want to attract better players. Well, let's get better surfaces up here, let's actually put a better product on the park. So when we do get these Sky games, people from down south and everywhere else aren't sitting watching games of football with the boss doing this, and it's absolutely painful to watch. You improve the stuff, you bring in better players, and then the money will obviously increase that way. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this one. It's a major thumbs up, and it's long overdue in my personal opinion, and it'll be nice to see some of my favourite players not get injured and get time robbed through the Rangers' careers because of the embarrassing plastic. Anyone arguing and anyone wanting to go against that, it's a major issue in American football as well. The likes of Aaron Rodgers got paid all that money for the Jets, went on the park, and after about 2.5 minutes on the old artificial turn, done his fit, and he was out for the entire year. It was about 160 million sitting there done like that, and there's obviously that discussion happening in American football as well. But that's not why we're here. We're moving on to story number 2. And we talked about the product, and we talked about improving it, and that's where we are next. As we got some exciting news this week that the Premier Sports has bought up to 20 matches to show on their platform regarding the league season. It's buzzing, yay! It's yet another company, it's yet another product that we need to spend our money on to watch the games that used to be available for a whole hell of a lot less. And it's funny, you know what I mean? All these companies are popping out and doing this and doing this, and all the prices are gone up, but we're all getting paid the same, and I'm just sitting back going, is anybody paying attention to this? Because it doesn't feel right, ladies and gentlemen, because right now, as it stands with this deal doing in place, you've got Premiership Sports, you've got like TNT, you've got Sky. That's what you need to buy individually if you want to be able to watch your team go ahead and play. Now, there is a wee bit of caveat to this, because obviously we were already paying in terms of the cup competition, so you could argue it's actually better new value for money in terms of if you bought that, because you were already paying to watch the cup games, and now you're able to watch some league games. There will be a counter argument to that, and that's fair enough if you want to look at it. I just wonder how long they'll keep it at the same price. Now you're not just paying for the cup games. Watch the space, ladies and gentlemen. But for me, the talky value and everything like that, the only people that's really winning with all these companies coming in and buying these shares of the pie, shares here, shares European football there, blah blah blah, all the only ones that are actually winning and getting value are the guys sitting with fire sticks. Truly, that's it. Now legally, of course, I have to sit here and say, don't do that. Don't get value for your money. Honestly, man, if I'm getting taken away for handcuffs, that'll be absolutely incredible. But in terms of this, just to give you the full story, it was a part of the deal that we signed in 2022, the record-breaking deal with Sky to show up to 60 matches. Remember all the puppets and muppets came out in the press and were like, wow, great and stuff done from the SFA, and they pandered and they pretended that it was an amazing deal, and then within a week it was obsolete with the deals that was getting done elsewhere for the likes of the Championship and everything like that. Remember they announced it a week earlier and everyone was all like, oh wow, Scottish football's doing great. Wait, what's the numbers? Is that actually... Oh, it's dreadful. Yeah. Well, it's an extension of that, so at least it's a little bit more money as Premier Sports has flung in a little bit more. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I can't sit here and just pretend and bury my head in the sand and say this is amazing for Scottish football. The deal itself is still, if you combine it all, still far behind too many leagues, and we are drowning in terms of that aspect and still miles behind everybody in Scottish football. But that, as you know, it's a wee bit of a kicker. It's a wee bit more money for Scottish football. It's not a lot, but it's a wee bit more, ladies and gentlemen, and it needs a little bit more of your own hard-earned cash as well. But the third story on today's video is actually the latest one in itself, and it's about our boy Hagi, a guy that a lot of people has been commenting recently, especially when I made my who stays, who goes video, because I didn't include him. I didn't include Cifuentes because they were out on loan. I think it's quite clear Cifuentes doesn't want to come back here because it rains. Anyway, Hagi is another one that's actually in that debate, and it's been an interesting one for a lot of the fans because, again, here's your little sweet prince, isn't he? You know what I mean? He done his thing, he had a great coat, he sold the t-shirt. If it was wrestling, he'd be at the top of his game. Right now, he's done everything, and when we won 55, he won Young Player of the Season and contributed more in terms of assists, created chances than we've seen before or since, ladies and gentlemen. He was spectacular, but again, injuries chopping down another very, very promising player in a Rangers shirt. And he did spend a hell of a lot of time out after playing in a silly game in an early cup round after missing about a year and a half. He came back a wee bit. He wanted to play. He showed a wee bit of sanity. All he said in a press conference was, that he respects the gaffer, but he would love an opportunity to play or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm paraphrasing in there, but it was nothing bad at all. Yet he was chucked out to Spain and kicked out because of Michael Beale's fragile ego. A decision that was very confusing to a lot of Rangers fans, but he was given an opportunity to go and play in the top flight of Spanish football and show his worth. Well, let's find out how he actually got on then as in his season-long loan. Then we can talk about his future. Then we can talk about that. You know what I mean? Let's not talk about the goals versus Hibs or the goals versus Braga or the performances here or there. Let's talk about what you've done for me lately, Mr. Hagi. And Hagi over in Spain has played a total of 22 games, grabbed 2 goals and grabbed 2 assists. It's not great, ladies and gentlemen, especially on this season that a lot of people were expecting. But again, numbers and statistics can be very misleading and it can distract you and can get lost because you could be a really good player but you might not just get the assist or the assist. He could be creating, could be doing that. So it's important to really dive in, and when you really dive in is where the disappointment of that initial shock in terms of the lack in product gets even worse, being a guy that champions him and wants him to do really well, because not only is it a bad season statistically for our boy Hagi, it's actually just been a bad season in the top flight, showing zero interest in the team that loaned him over in Spain and regaining his services, which right away is absolutely terrifying. Probably tells you how he's actually playing, because if he was doing well, they'd be wanting to keep him. But you can dive in a wee bit deeper in terms of the statistical point of view. He had started just 22% of the games available. 22%. Whilst throughout his entire time over in Spain, all he played was 25% of the minutes available over there. So when he was given an opportunity in terms of the minutes, he couldn't do enough to justify more starts, and he didn't get the starts, and then he was just used as a sort of bench player, rotational player, and that's not what you want to see. Especially that's not the season where we're all hoping he would go and do. I mean, for all Sam Lammers, his faults and everything like that, he's went to Dutch football, rolled the sleeves up and been an absolute baller and made us some money, because he will leave this summer. Hadges went over to Spain and just faltered completely, and it leaves his career in a very, very strange limbo, where he has gone into the European Championships, where I hope he does very well for Romania, because not only could that maybe spark his Rangers career back into life, but again it could get a bit of interest, because all you're getting right now, if you look at Hagi on the table, is a name, which is obviously a very, very heavy name to hold, a long injury list, and people questioning if he's good now after his injury as he was before, because he's not been able to show anything else, and that's not an attractive prospect. So hopefully he has a very good Euros. But Hagi himself has said this on his future, not only at Rangers but where he is in his career. My focus is on the Euros. I've had talks with my agents, that's normal, but the pressure is on them. They know what I want from my future. It's a pretty important summer for me at all points of view. I told them before I went to the national team what I want. I'm waiting to hear them do their best work to find the right team and coach for me. I can't say if it'll be at Rangers or somewhere else. My future depends on my agents, and there's probably a wee indication of where football actually is as well, how agent driven it actually is, and it's not exactly a banging at the door, I want a chance at Rangers, I want a chance at this, or I want to do this, I want to do that. It's, I've told my agents it's up to them to do their thing. Now he could just be being a professional here, where he is solely focused on pretty important couple of weeks for him in terms of his Romanian side, but again, it isn't exactly filling you with confidence that he's got a future at Rangers. And truthfully, ladies and gentlemen, as sad as it is, because I would love him to come in and be a spark and do this and do that, do I see him coming back to Rangers and performing at the level he was pre-injury? Unfortunately no, ladies and gentlemen, because everything, and I mean everything, I've looked at, I've read what fans have said over him, I've used Google Translate more than any human being should ever possibly do. I've really went in to read what people are saying about him, and they're saying he's just a name on the back of his shirt. Look out for Hagi over the next couple of weeks, because it's going to be a very, very interesting ongoing story. But that is it. What about you, ladies and gentlemen? How do you feel about the Plastic Park? How do you feel about the TV deal? Do you think we're finally going in the right direction? How do you feel about Hagi? Do you think he deserves an opportunity or a chance? I'd love nothing more for him to come here and show what he showed pre-injury. It's just, everything I'm reading is not encouraging at all, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll put it this way, if I was looking at this player, and if I was making a player profile, and if I was there in a Rangers rumour on Hagi, who's just played a season in there, I'd have the same things to say as I said about Sam Lammers, and I've talked about some people. I'd be nervous about the injury list or how bad that they've been playing and what everyone's been saying at them. And That's what scares me on that aspect. But that is it for the three main talking points. All that's left is none other than the nonsense of the week. Now, the nonsense of the week might surprise a lot of people because it's not going to be an individual transfer rumour like it was last week when we mocked and laughed at the Calvin Phillips rumour. I know there was a wee bit of discussion about Ryan Kent, but we all know that's absolute crap. That doesn't need to be the nonsense of the week. That Ryan Kent's contract potentially getting ripped up and coming up the road was trumped by one story, in my opinion, that I really need to just bring you, because I want to know your opinions on this. If you're still here and watching, please give me your reaction to the news I'm about to tell you, right? Nonsense of the week is the SFA would like their board members to be paid double, troops. The SFA is asking the clubs that we've talked about that's voted for the banning this and the doing this, they want the clubs to give their permission to pay their board members double, ladies and gentlemen. That is absolutely incredible. When I heard the news, I was almost like, is this real life? Is there a camera on me? Is Aston Kutcher going to come out wearing an old scruffy hat? I never understood what was going on. So I needed to read in to the story and why they're actually pitching this and why they're doing this is they're complaining, troops, right? Stay with me for a second, that the SFA board members and the key board members are pay is significantly lower than it is their counterparts in England and everything like that. And honestly, the brass neck of these clowns. Do you know what else is significantly lower than their counterparts in England? It's every aspect of our game. Our players, the stadiums, the revenues, the stuff you sign off on. That's what's significantly lower. So to have the balls to ask permission to vote today, it's the day, it's the 6th of June that they're going to be. And honestly, see if they get it, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know why you would be willing to give more money to absolute clowns strangling this game to its absolute core. But that was it. Sorry for the potential rant, but that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for the nonsense of the week. The SFA is wanting their wages doubled because they're no happy that their pay is falling behind England. I got it. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the week that was for Rangers Football Club. It'd be great to know your thoughts and opinions on today's topics. And also, could you let me know if you're interested in seeing some Euros content over the week or anything like covering Scotland, covering the Rangers players that's out. You're just looking out for Hagi, having a wee eye in there. If you're interested in some Euros content, it could be something we could do over the summer. Give me a wee bit of something else to sink my teeth in it if you'd be interested in it. Or if you're not interested, then let me know down in the comment section below and I won't do it. But until then, I've been Sage and Over92. Thank you so much for watching. All the best and bye-bye.